So we're going to do lesson 11-8. The first part of it, we're going to go through the first 3 examples today. And we're just going to do the multiplication part of the radical expressions. And then tomorrow we're going to do the division part. So we're going to be using the quotient or the product rule quite a bit today then. Now, we've looked at the product rule. And so when you're multiplying 2 radicals, you just multiply the numbers together and then simplify it if you can. So this first example here, it says the square root of 8 times the square root of 6. Well, we're just going to multiply 8 times 6 together. What do we get? 48. So this is the square root of 48. And then now I want to simplify the square root of 48 if I can. So if we have radicals, 2 radicals are being multiplied together, 2 square roots, then we just multiply those 2 numbers together. So what's the largest square that goes into 48? 16. So we have the square root of 16 times 3. And the square root of 16 is 4. So we have 4 times the square root of 3. Letter B. Quantity 2 square roots of 5 squared. Okay, we're going to look at this 2 different ways. First of all, what does it mean for something to be squared? Okay, multiply it by itself. So this means we have 2 square roots of 5 times 2 square roots of 5. Now, multiplication is commutative, right? Everybody knows what commutative is? Anybody not remember what commutative is? It's okay if you don't. Okay. That means that I can multiply in any order I want. Okay. So my suggestion to you is when you have a situation where you have numbers and radicals multiplying, that you change the order. So I made it so that the constants are being multiplied together, so I can put them together and then put the radicals together. Okay? You can't, what's on the outside of a radical can't go to the inside. Right? And what's on the inside can't come to the outside unless it's simplified correctly. So this is now 4 times the square root of 25. And what's the square root of 25? And 4 times 5 is 20. Now that's one way to do it. Okay. Another way to do it is just think about it as squaring. So if I think of it the other way, we have 2 squared and then the square root of 5 squared. Okay. Well, what's 2 squared? Notice I put the exponent with both parts. Okay, it goes with both parts. That's an exponent rule. Okay. And what happens when I square a square root? What do they do to each other? Okay, they basically cancel each other out. So this is 4 times 5, which is 20. So you could do that problem either way. I could write it as times itself here and then simplify it. Or I could write it as both of these things are being squared and then simplify it that way. Either way is acceptable. They both produce the same answer, so you can do it either way. Letter C. So both of these things we have the square root of 3y times the square root of 12y. So they're all under the radical. So when I'm done, I'm going to be under the radical. What's 3 times 12? 36. So I multiply the constants together that are under the radical. And then I multiply the variables. What's y times y? Y squared. Okay. So Morgan, what does this equal then? 6y. Good. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of y squared is y. All right. So, okay, using the distributive property. Now, everybody knows how to use the distributive property, right? Whatever's on the outside, we multiply by everything on the inside. Okay. So when we do this with radicals, we have to be careful the way we do it. So let's take it one slow step at a time then, with our writing of them. Okay. So we're going to multiply 3, square root of 3, and 7 together. Now, the 7, it's not under the radical, is it? Okay. So is it going to go under the radical with the 3 or in front of the radical? Okay, it's going to go in front. So this is going to be 7 times the square root of 3. And then we have two radicals we're multiplying together. So that's square root of 3 times square root of 8. Okay, I'm just writing it that way for the moment. So square root of 3 times 7, can't put those together because the 7's not under radical. Since these are both under the radical, I can multiply them together. And 3 times 8 is 24. Okay. Things under the radical we can multiply together. Things on the outside of the radical we can multiply together, but we can't multiply ones that are not with ones that are. Okay. So we need to simplify square root of 24. What's the largest square that goes into 24? Okay. Does 9 go into 24? No. 4 does though, right? Okay. So square root of 24 square root of 4 times 6, and the square root of 4 is 2. So we have 7 square roots of 3 minus 2 square roots of 6. So we use the distributive property. So that means we multiply what's on the outside times everything on the inside. Just make sure that you're careful with your multiplication then. Anything that's not under radical is going to go in the front. Anything that's under the radical I can multiply together. So the letter B here. Multiply these first two together. And multiply with the last one. 2 times 8 is 16, so we have the square root of 16 plus the square root of 36. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Those are both squares, so we get 4 plus 6 equals 10. All right, so let's do one of those. Let's do letter B. Okay, we are now going to FOIL. Okay, so we're multiplying basically two binomials together, except we're multiplying two square root expressions that have two terms. So we're going to FOIL, just like you did with binomials, we're going to do it with radicals. So they even show the first, outer, inner, last up there. Now, and this is a good thing because it actually helps us, and one of the things that we're going to look at eventually is some problems where we have radicals in the denominator or radical expressions in the denominator, and you'll learn what you can multiply by to eliminate radicals. So we do our first, outer, inner, last. So we're going to multiply 3 times 2 and get 6. This is where all my good colors come into play, just like theirs. 3 times the square root of 8. 3 square roots of 8. Negative square root of 8 times 2. Negative 2 square roots of 8. And negative square root of 8 times positive square root of 8, negative square root of 64. So, square root of 64 is 8, right? Okay. So let's do some simplification here then. So we have 6. We have 3 square roots of 8 minus 2 square roots of 8, which is, okay, all right, and then minus 8, right? All right. So 6 minus 8 is negative 2. Can we simplify the square root of 8? Okay, that should be one of them that you know. Okay, one of them that you know. We were talking about that the other day. Are there any that I really know? So we have the square root of 8. That's the square root of 4 times 2, or 2 square roots of 2. That should be one that you put in your memory bank. All right, so this is negative 2 plus 2 square roots of 2. Negative 2 plus 2 square roots of 2. Okay. So similar to the other ones, you're just using the distributive property twice, right? And then just doing any kind of simplification that needs to be done. Okay, let's look at letter B. Okay, so some people, but I'm telling you what, you guys are great. Okay, you did really good with this. Okay, very smart. You should give yourself a pat on the back. 4 plus square root of 3 times 4 plus the square root of 3. Okay, and then we FOIL it. So we get 16 plus 4 times 4 is 16, then 4 square roots of 3 from here to here, plus another 4 square roots of 3, and then plus the square root of 9. Okay. Did good. All right. So 16 plus the square root of 9 is 3. So 16 plus 3 is 19 plus 8 square roots of 3. Now, I'm going to show you how to use your calculator to check your answer. Okay? This is very important that you're able to do that, except my calculator is missing. And this is very simple. All you got to do is type in the original problem. So we'll put parenthesis 4 plus the square root of 3. Okay. Oops. And then close your parenthesis and square it. Okay. All right. And I get that decimal number. Okay. Now I'm just checking my answer. Okay. I'm not finding the answer here. Just checking it. Now, what did we get for an answer? We had 16 plus 8 times the square root of 3, right? 19. See, I would have found out I was wrong. Oops. 19. And hit enter. I got the same answer. Okay? So you can use your calculator to check to make sure these are correct. Okay? Put your original problem in, find the answer, put your answer in it, see if they're the same. So you can check your solutions. Okay? So now, here's a habit that I was really excited to see that there was only a couple of you that did this. So don't do this. Okay? That a lot of people will just say, hey, they're squared. That's 16 plus 3, which is 19. Okay? And those two things are definitely not the same, are they? So you have to be, excuse me, be careful of that. That if it says 4 plus square root of 3 squared, that means we FOIL. Okay? Very good.